everybody, to Empowering Single Mothers. I'm your co-host, Lisa McHale, and I've got the wonderful Wendy Bloom also co-hosting, and we've got a new guest today named Jenni Garcia on the show episode. I'm going to let them introduce themselves really quickly, and then we'll get right into it.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Jenni. I'm here in Toronto. I have a 12-year-old daughter who's about to be 13 in March. I am a graphic designer and creative director for a few smaller brands. I'm currently enjoying the life of being at home, but it is a little tough. Yeah, and I'm just going with the flow with everything that's happening.
Nice. It's very nice to meet you, Jenni. I'm Wendy Bloom. I'm a mortgage lender in Monterey, California. I have 3 children, 11, 16, and 23. They all live with me. And I'm really grateful that I have an opportunity to work with other women and working on ways to empower single moms and women in general, or, anyone.
So I am also in Toronto, Canada, and I actually have met Wendy in California a few times, and very grateful that you guys are both here to empower single mothers. And our topic for today is actually self-care, and that means very many different things for very many different people. However, the conversation around the awareness of self-care and what can be labeled as self-care and how we experience self-care and how we can promote self-care and what that would mean to us now during the pandemic and even outside of that is really our topic of conversation. So Wendy, do you want to talk about what self-care is to you and what that looks like right now and what it has looked like?
Oh gosh, this topic definitely hits home. I neglect that a lot. It's really challenging because I feel like so many people rely on me, and I often forget that I need to fill my cup in order to take care of others. So listening to Jenni today, I'm pretty excited to hear what she's done, what successes she's had, since I pretty much feel like I'm a 1 out of 10 on that. So I really get to work on that. So, yeah.
Great. I'll jump in because I think Jenni has a really good wide range. I also have just started practicing self-care, like putting myself at the top of my list. I think as a single mom, my daughter's 11. I often say turning 25, but that reality of making sure that she is okay, emotionally, physically, would normally trump my needs. And I'm learning, again, that whole concept of the oxygen mask has to go on me first before I can care for her. And in most recent years, how I met Jenni is I'm doing things that involve both her and I in self-care. And that was through Hula. So glad that I've met both of you. And Jenni, please do share what transformation self-care or the self-care transformation has looked like for you over the last few years.
Yeah, totally. I think same as every mom, I mean, not every mom, a lot of moms, what we go through really is like, I have this human, I need to take care of them, I need to make sure that they're healthy in any way possible. So I'm going to bend over backwards. I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to just make sure that they're good and put my needs last. And sometimes that can also mean that we're neglecting ourselves. And regardless of what we think is healthy, I think we think, okay, so long as my kids are healthy, I'm good. But I think if we flip that, as opposed to if I'm healthy and I'm good and I feel good, I can give as much to my kids or to my loved ones or to my family, even my friends, or like even at work. Like I think it's like generational in my position. Like my mom's very much like, okay, what do you want to eat and what do you want to do and how am I going to cater to you? And I'm like, I'm 30, mom. Like, I'm good. Don't worry about me. Like, I can cook my own meals. I can, and I think and I'd always think it was like a great quality. And then when I started seeing, I was like, mom, like, just do things for yourself. And like, she would feel bad. Like she felt bad buying herself nice clothes, or she felt bad like having to cook separate meals for her because she's like, well, you guys don't like that, so I'm not gonna cook it. I'm like, Mom, no, that's not fair. Like, enjoy what you have to eat. Like, enjoy going to like the spa or like hanging out with your friends or doing things for yourself. And once she retired, she was able to do those things, which it was about maybe like 5 years ago she had retired. So for me, like, I always thought I was kind of healthy, but it was a very like roller coaster of I think I'm healthy because I'm like doing my hair, I'm putting on nice makeup, I'm putting on nice clothes, but mentally and like physically I just felt really crappy. And I think it had to do with just not focusing on like my mental health especially. So I started to do small things like um working out or eating a little bit healthier. Um, and I did hula. Jazzy had started hula first. And so her mom, sorry, all the moms had always been like, you should join. And I'm like, no, so not for me. And which was nice because the first year I had started, I met Lisa. So our daughters got really close as well. So yeah, I think really focusing on just mental health and physical health and just nourishing my body. This year I also started seeing a therapist. I see her maybe 2 to 3 times a week. Oh, sorry, every 2 or 3 weeks. At first, it was like once a week, and then it became every 2 weeks. Now it's every like 3 weeks or whenever I'm feeling it. That has been a huge game changer for me.
I have a question. When you say
Yeah.
whenever you're feeling it, what is that? Like what, because there's a trigger that causes you to go, hey, I need to talk to someone. And it's not just someone, it's a professional someone.
Yeah. I think for me, it's just anytime I'm feeling challenged. Like I do have a boyfriend. We live together. He's great. There's a difference between like what you get from your loved ones and when you get from a therapist, in my opinion. Like my therapist, she like naturally, she's just helping me cope with stress and how to really, 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 really focus on myself and then teach my daughter them and then teach like my mom them even. And it's like, it's really nice things. It's breathing techniques and it's, you know, it's like meditation and it's very life-changing, you know, because I'm like, whoa, I can take 3 minutes out of my day if ever I'm going through like a crazy anxiety attack or like if I'm out and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I can literally like stop what I'm doing, take a few minutes to just really deep breathe and focus on my breathing and I can like snap out of it and like get my day on or like do my task. um so yeah, she's been such a godsend in my books. Like I think like therapy even for me at first was like I was kind of like, well, there's nothing wrong, people like me don't really need therapy. Like I don't, you know, I mean, I have trauma but like I'm over it, or there's like childhood trauma there but I don't need it right now. Like it's not a big deal. And then these conversations keep happening and I'm like, whoa, maybe like it's just nice to give it a try. So yeah, all these things leading up to like what I'm really needing in life has always been self-care. And I think to be the best person that you can be and to be the best mom and partner and employee and just human being, it is self-care for sure. I think that's like at the top of my list. And I think it's like in order for us moms to like want to be there for one another, we have to start with ourselves, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Wendy, have you ever done any kind of therapy? I know I have, like from losing my mother at a very young age. I mean, in 1988, I mean, that was like every other week you had to go because they were checking in on you. And then when my ex and I split up, got back together and split up, like we definitely had done some grounding type of therapies. And it has helped for sure because you have an outsider who's sort of like baselining
Yes.
what behaviors are going to be beneficial for you. How about you?
Yeah, so I've definitely had therapy starting at a very young age because my parents, well, well, I don't know if it was because my parents split up or a combination of my mom having cancer and my parents splitting up. So I started therapy very young, like 8 years old, and I've had, you know, different times in my life where I've chosen to be in therapy. At the moment, I'm not in any therapy sessions. And I'm not sure. I've thought about going back to that. And I this is again, I'm listening,
Yeah.
learning reminders of what it is that I need to do for me. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So Jenni, you also talked about health outside of mental health, like how you are nourishing your body. So what has changed for you in the last X number of years for you to shift your physical, like your nutrition?
Well, it's super tough just because I have a family, right? So like the foods that I eat, everyone is like, that's disgusting. What are you even putting? Like, that's gross. So like, I like to add more vegetables, or I'm always having fruit with my food. I did cut out meat for a little bit. I don't know that that's the best route for me, just because I just eat like I don't think I was nourishing myself enough. So I was feeling very like woozy and like fainty, which is like not good. So I think I brought back the meat and the chicken, and like I have like really I pretty much eat anything right now. I just really focus on portions. Portions for me is like a huge thing because I can overeat, I can undereat, I can, you know, go for hours not eating. So like that, like food for me has been like a battle where like I didn't have a good relationship with it, just because I was stressed about it. I was like, oh, if I eat this, I'm gonna feel like shit and look like shit. Sorry, can I swear?
Do whatever you want. Do whatever. If we've
Yeah.
all given birth to babies, people that we don't even know have seen our private, like.
Yeah, my relationship with food is, it's very up and down. So I think like understanding that like food is actually a great thing. It's a beautiful thing, and it's okay to like eat like crap and indulge and enjoy foods with your kids and like go to restaurants. I mean, like not now, but like have dessert. But for me, it's portions, 100%, like portions, like portioning out my food, looking at what I'm eating, and like mentally like thinking about it, because I do find like you eat and then you're like and then you go to the next thing. But like when I make like my food time like sacred, where it's like this is for me, this is nourishing. And mind you, my family does not do that. Like my daughter's in, she eats, and then she's out, and I'm like at the table by myself like just trying to finish my food. Yeah, like rituals for me in the morning for sure are like important. I have like lemon water and hot lemon water in the mornings. I put some maple syrup in there. That helps. I love green juices. When you find like the really good things that you love, you just go in that route, and then it takes you there. So I think it's like stressing about it is always had always been like a downfall for me, because then I would like feel great and then I would feel like crap, and then I try to get back on track, and then it was just like a nightmare. So I think just having that balance of like it's okay to like indulge again so long as you're feeling good. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm taking it right now.
I love the feel good barometer. Like that's what you're going off of. And
Yeah,
um,
always.
so again,
Yeah, always. Like it's like where's my feel good and how do I stay there? Like for as long as I can, you know, like whenever I get out of it, what can I do to like fall back in there?
yeah. How about you, Wendy?
I have a couple questions. I have a couple questions actually.
Yeah.
So, when you say the feel good barometer, and what do you choose to do when you notice that you're not feeling good? What shifts do you make, and how do you make them? What conversation do you have with yourself?
Yeah. That's a great question. Ooh, it's tough because sometimes I'm really hard on myself. So I'm very
Mm.
like, how could you like, like I think it's natural for us to like resort to like hating ourselves or like being angry with ourselves because we're like, you know better, you should have done better, like you're smarter than this, you're a role model, like people depend on you. Um, but it's just loving yourself really. It's just embracing yourself and like self-acceptance and really I think writing things down for me is really 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 great. I've never really done that. I've always been like computer and like phone, but writing things down for me I feel is very healthy. Even if it's like a hate note, I write it down. Even if it's like I'm I hate this person, or I hate that I did that, or I hate what's happening, I write it down. Or if it's like, oh, that was so nice what you did today for that person, or that was so lovely what my friend said to me. Small things, so I can really look back at them, and it's very like self acceptance. It's just accepting and like knowing and not feeling responsible for other people's feelings too. That's like a huge
Huge.
one. Yeah, that's really important. And I'm still learning that. I still don't know how to really get a grasp on that. Because it's small things like if I had said something and it hurt someone's feelings, or like if at work I did something and someone disagreed with it, I feel like, oh, like that's my responsibility. I should have done better. And it's like, no, sorry, like like it's just a way of life. Like I can't make everybody happy. Um, so yeah,
Can
it's
I
really loving yourself through
can
it.
I insert a share based on
Yeah,
what just came up from her? Okay.
good.
So the other day, I was super excited about something and went and told someone. And as I was telling them, their response was, I don't care. And I was shocked, like literally couldn't even. And I shut down because that's my thing.
Mhm.
And I walked away. I didn't respond. I didn't anything. And it was, I sat with it and I sat with the feelings. And I was like, I can't believe this person just said, I don't care. And how do I feel about that? And as I worked through it, I was like, of course, wanting to blame, wanting to be like, how dare him? Like it was really hard. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. He just told me he didn't want to hear what I was saying. That's it. That's all he said. He didn't say I don't care about you. He didn't say all of the things that I could have made it, right? That I typically would have made it.
Mhm.
And I was like, whoa. And so I really processed through that. And then I sent him a text. And I was like, sometimes it's really difficult for me to talk to you because I don't think that you care about what I have to say. And this morning really confirmed that for me and why I have those hesitations. And I said, however, I realized that you were just being honest with me. And now I get to choose to decide what I want to share with you.
Mhm.
And what a shift. Like, what a complete shift for me to not take that and turn it into, I'm not worthy of his time. I'm not worthy, or that I don't matter. Because it wasn't that I don't matter, is that he wasn't in any way, shape, or form excited about what I was excited about. And that's okay,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's huge. I
That's
think
a huge win for
that
sure.
is a
Thank
huge
you for
win.
sharing.
And
Yeah.
it's like I think by taking the time to think about it and then reflect on it and then reacting,
Yeah.
that's like huge. Like for me, I'm the type to be like, no, like, and then I freak out and then I'm like, fuck, I feel horrible now. I
Right.
do that with
Yeah.
like, I do that with my daughter. I do that at work. I do that, I do that all around. But I think, yeah, like exactly what you had done is it's so important, right? Because you do and say things out of anger or out of like feeling hurt or like neglected, and then sometimes you don't take the time to really focus on like the bigger picture, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
One
huge.
of the things that I realized, and I didn't in the moment, of course, what if he was going through something and he didn't want to have excited energy? He
Yeah.
didn't have a place for someone to be happy around him because
Mhm.
he was in his whatever. And so again, sometimes whatever it is, if we don't allow ourselves that buffer of don't take things personal for
Mhm.
agreements, um, then it can cause a lot of damage.
Yeah.
100%. So just going back to also what Jenni said earlier, I think there is something in us that plays like a saboteur almost, like when we think about archetypes and this whole like should, could, would game that we do with ourselves, and touching back even on upbringing,
Yeah.
right? And then the expectations we have from other people that are such, it's like a direct reflection on the expectations we have on ourselves, right? So it's
Oh yeah.
like this wicked vicious cycle that just keeps going. And if you don't pause to, like, I love the concept of journaling, meditating, breathing. These are all things that I personally use and I definitely share with people, um, to like release things, because there's no
Yeah.
point in carrying all of this stuff that is unserving to us.
Yeah.
And as
Right.
mothers, like, I think we all are exhibiting things that we have learned from our parents. And right. And so it's like, no, I'm not going to be a martyr
No.
because I want to live, I want to meet my great, great, great grandchildren. That's
Right.
not going to help, right? Like my mother did what she did, and God bless her, she did her best, but we buried her at 41,
Mm.
right? Like, so at 47 now, I don't really have I don't, like, who am I following at? There's nobody. So now it's like I get to talk to people like you, learn from my family, like what they would have done, their experiences, the self-care, the nutrition, the self-sabotaging, all of that really is like why we're here, right? So
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone can relate to this. They don't have to be a single mom. But
No.
let's address the part of self-care that might be perceived as a challenge for single mothers. Because I know for me, and I'm going to throw this out there and whatever you guys want to add, or is as a single mother who doesn't have parents and it is just her and I, my story used to be, well, what am I going to do with her? Right? Like, and I
Yeah.
don't want her to feel like, again, her feelings over my need to self-care, right? Um, well, who will watch her? And then the support team came in, and then my family started, you know what I mean? Like, there all have always been people there, but that was what I was telling myself. So
Yes.
what were some of the things that you have experienced, and how did you overcome the part specifically about being a single
Well, I mean, like I was single. When we say single mom, it's like her dad and I, we were together for, I mean, we were 16 when we met, and then got pregnant at like 18. And I had her at 19. And like, what do we really know at that age? So I feel like I was always single. I mean, like that's kind of bad. Like I just feel like the whole process I was kind of alone. So I kind of like had to figure it out on my own. I was like, I had finished school while I was pregnant. I was literally, it had always been like, it was just her and I. And I think what was nice, and I'm like so privileged to feel that way, is that because we were so close in age, all the things that she was going through, I could feel it. I was like, I know what you're going through. I literally remember it because it wasn't so long ago. So for us, what's important for us and what's really working is just sharing like the stories that I had gone through, and really finding that connection. Like for example, this is a big one, is like her phone. So she has a phone. She's now 12. I didn't have a phone till I was maybe 16 in high school. So sometimes I find her on her phone and it's excessive. I'm like, hey, we can't be doing that. That's not okay. I just feel like it's really daunting on the brain, and like sometimes she's like laser focused on it and not doing other things. Maybe I'm getting off topic here, I'm not sure, sorry, but yeah, just just finding those connections. So with me, I'd be like, when I was your age, I would do things and I would do it nonstop. Like I would talk on the phone with my friends for however long. And my mom would be like, hey, that's enough. So I think when you have limits, or when you realize, okay, there's a certain amount of time that you need to be doing things, there's a balance that you need to be doing. When I was young, I did that too. There's nothing wrong with you. We all make mistakes. We all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. And just finding that bond, like it could be a bond through a phone, it could be a bond through like a food, it could be bond through like clothing, shopping. I think that has always helped me, and that has always helped us kind of build our relationship. Because I didn't really have that with my mom. I didn't really have that. I mean, not to say like she was a bad mom. I just think we didn't really bond the way that I had wished we did, or like we didn't really talk as much. She was working a lot, so it's nice that I can really bond with my daughter in those ways. Um, but yeah, I think those are important for us.
That's awesome. That is awesome. How about you, Wendy?
So, well, bonding, obviously, super important. As far as making the time for the self-care, definitely super hard to keep commitments time-wise when there's always some reason to do what they need. There's always more work. There's always something for school that they need help with. So really staying committed to what time you need to set aside for self-care is really a challenge for me, which is probably why I gave myself a 1 out of 10. And what came up for me listening to Jenni, and she said it in a couple of different ways, one about her daughter and one about her mom. And she was using the word guilt, like not feeling guilty for doing the self-care. And I don't know that I ever really looked at it that way. However, now that I hear her say it, and I want to, I'm a fixer, so I went, or I've been a fixer. I went to, how can I help her, right? And I was like, wow, what a gift. It's not something you should on yourself. You should feel guilty about. You should actually embrace the example you're setting by putting in place those self-care scheduled times. And so that's what came up for me, in a combination of what Jenni has shared and what you asked. Instead of looking at it as time that I'm taking from them, it's a gift I'm giving them by letting them see what I'm doing that's good for me. So that's the example that I set. So Jenni, shared the example of her mom feeling guilty about doing nice things for herself until she was retired, all the way until she was retired, right? And Jenni is doing the same thing in some cases because she's feeling guilty of taking care of herself. So that's a modeled behavior, right? So breaking the chain of whatever example we had, and then also looking at it from a place of, gosh, I get to show my daughter that going to the spa is something that I do for me, and she gets to do that when she's at a perfect age.
Yeah.
Right. I really love how you tie that together, and I'm gonna even add to that because for those who don't know, like over the past year, I've cut a fair bit of weight, and thank you. And
Yes.
that process, it was really putting myself in the priority list, and quite close to the top, if not at the top. And that included going to sleep. It included prepping the food. And as I started to recover from whatever, the flour, the sugar, the impact of that, I became a nicer person. And so like the ugly mom episodes, like when you say that you like blow up or whatever, I call those ugly mom moments. And so when they are less frequent and less intense. And so not only am I modeling to her the benefits of self-care, but it's also creating the bond, right? Yeah. I feel my story has always been like, I'm not necessarily maternal like the way that you guys are, like very doting with your, like it's not like that for me. And so now we're developing it I mean, I'm just being totally real. You guys know,
That's good.
my
Not all moms are that way.
yeah, and I'm
And
definitely
that's okay.
not that. So it's good that we've got the diversity of how we approach motherhood, and definitely a provider, definitely will like be her supporter, but it's not like we're sitting there like, you know, doing that kind of stuff. And now we're kind of getting there. We're taking walks, as you know, in the morning. So that is, you know, that self-care and then developing the bond it's been really beautiful. So thank you for tying it all together. Always magic happens.
That was great. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
The saying that came up for me in my head was, I love you, so I'm going to take care of me.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I think that's important everywhere, right?
Mhm.
I'm thinking of like, I always resort to work because I feel like those are like the challenging areas for me. But I feel like in workplaces, when I have, for whatever reason, people who I'm like, I want to do well by you, but I can't because you're not allowing me. So it's hard. And I feel like it's just like they don't love themselves. So they reflect all that negative energy onto me. So I'm like, I can't do well by you. I can't go above and beyond the way I want to for you and for us and for what we're building, because I just it's there's like a blockage. So that's the same thing. Like I want to love you, but I can't. So there's something holding us back. But yeah, it's the
We gotta bring
same.
you back for that one. We gotta bring you back for that one because that's a whole other topic beyond self-care. But where it does tie in, I feel, is like the awareness of how we do have to have safe boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So that's like maybe a future one. But I feel like we've covered a lot of self-care stuff. Is there anything else before we wrap up this time? And Jenni would love to have you back to talk about that.
I would love to anytime.
Yeah.
Lovely.
This is fun.
Yeah, I think the last thing for me is just for you, Wendy, is really just making maybe like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, starting small.
Yeah.
Maybe when the kids are asleep or before the kids wake up, maybe that'll like give you a little bit of like a push to be like, okay, they're asleep. Even if they wake me up, that's okay. Even if they knock on the door, that's fine. Just start with 5-10 minutes for yourself, and like it'll grow, and then your kids will be like, okay, this is your time, mom. Yeah, you're allowed to have it.
Right.
Or when the kids are away for whatever reason, it's just, you know, like finding those ways, and they start small, right? Like,
yep.
we're not privileged to be like, oh, I have a whole week to myself. Never that. Yeah, but
you do when you go to California. So, you know, yeah. Like, hey, you know what, kiddos? See ya. Wendy.
Come stay in the suite.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's beautiful advice. So
thank you.
Okay, Wendy, the next time we meet with Jenni, we're going to see where your number is from a one.
That's right. How many minutes have I given myself?
Well, I think because I know her work, right, where it's like her phone can ring at any time. We were talking the other day and it was like, oh, something got approved and that required her attention. It's difficult, I know, from a business perspective, to see something come in and have the discipline to go,
not right now.
Leave that for 5 minutes because I need to do this, or I want to do this, or, you know. And
so,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I did a cycle bar for a while, and it was the craziest feeling that they didn't allow cell phones in the room.
Yeah.
So I literally had 45 minutes for myself with no distraction in that way. And with COVID, I'm using a Peloton at home. My cell phone's on the bike.
Oh.
It's on the bike.
Right.
And I get to learn how to say, it's okay for me to put the cell phone in the other room.
Yes.
It's really challenging though, you know, it's so challenging because nobody has the rules set for me.
Right.
You know,
right.
So I have to be the one that says, I get this time, right? So
Love it.
Good notice.
Love it. Well, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to our audience. You guys have any questions, comments, or you can relate to any of this, or if you want to reach out to any of us, we would definitely make sure that all of our contact info is in the description. I want to thank my co-host, Wendy Bloom over there, and our lovely guest, Jenni Garcia, who joined us for today's episode, Empowering Single Mothers, and we're focusing on self-care. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.